how has your professional life currently, or based on your experience, how has it shaped the way you approach communication as a tool for driving results?
I would say differently, because from the experience that I gathered during my journalism and working with rural communities, it shaped my idea and sense of reasoning differently for me to know what to advocate for, what to persuade people about, and what to decide on. For instance, working with local communities, families with disabilities gave me the idea that, oh, there's a communication gap somewhere. For instance, how are families communicating with their neurodivergent children, right? Newly wedded, you have you have kids. All of a sudden, you discover that your child cannot hear, right? For you, you've never experienced such a thing before. You don't know how to use sign languages. You don't know how to deal with children with disabilities, right? How are you passing through that phase? So working with local communities have made me understand that that is really a struggle that people in rural areas face. Most of them don't even know all these things, so they had to learn it in a difficult way. They had to forcefully learn it. So having understood that, yeah, this aspect needs a gap to be filled. Here I am studying, conducting research, trying to find alternative ways that this gap can actually be filled. Right? If you were a new parent, if your friends are having this issue, if you have a friend who cannot hear, how are you going to communicate with them? Right? You see how deep it is. So this gave me an idea. I'm like, okay, I need to come up with something. I need to become an expert in this area. I need to teach people how to navigate this stress, how to navigate this overload. Because sometimes, even as a family member, it's okay to say, yes, I love my family. But then there's a burnout that comes with it. There's an overload that comes with it. I call it family overload. It can come in different ways, right? As a caregiver, you can experience burnout. You can experience overload. How are you navigating through all these things, right? As a family member, you get to experience different issues, even as to not being. I was talking to somebody today, and I was like, you might have a family member with disability issues, and you might not know how to represent them in public. Because when you talk about, oh, your family member is having this issue, people will tend to like look at you in some certain way. So that will hinder the way you talk about them more often, right? So the experiences that I've gathered have really shaped my thoughts in this angle. And this is me saying that, yeah, something needs to be done in this angle. And I'm sure that by the time I'm done with my research, a lot of research in mind, maybe a solution will come. There are solutions out there, but we need to simplify it to get to the real people who really need these things. I hope this makes sense and answers your question.
It makes so much sense. And I mean, the purpose of this project is coming together. The whole idea is to gain as much perspectives as we need. See you talking about family communications. Who would have thought? You understand? Who would have thought that there is a gap to fill when it comes to diversity? And then it brings me to my next question, which, of course, you've touched on it. Like talking about diversity, there are different things there. Like you said, you already talked about it, so it's just going to be like a discussion, and then just a quick discussion, and then we can move on to the next. How to like hold space for diversity. You're talking about disability in families. You're talking about family communication. You're talking about how people navigate different things, how people represent their loved ones who might be disabled out there. These are perspectives. These are things that need to be talked about, because communication is not just about, oh, let us write this brand is excuse me, this brand is doing this brand, okay, we're launching this campaign. No, there are like diverse areas in it, and that's also why I'm interested in cultural communications, to understand exactly how people are feeling within their culture. And then culture doesn't mean their village. It's not like, okay, when people say culture, they're looking at their their villages,
of course, yes,
within their own spaces, within their own situation, their own personal scenarios. Like, how are people communicating? I feel like this is an area we need to bring home, and to be honest, I'm running with it. Thank you so much for this advice. Have you ever been in a situation where you have to like tell stories? I mean, based on your work, I know you're currently researching, but telling stories without reinforcing stereotypes. Stereotypes as in, you already know what I mean by stereotypes, but let me just rephrase my question. When I was speaking, I'm going to refer to my conversation we said earlier when he was talking about like the fact that Africa. Okay, one of the biggest misconceptions about Africa is that Africa is a country, right? So how do you tell stories, like in your own field, in your own experience? Like, how do you tell stories without reinforcing stereotypes? You know that there are people who mean well about Africa, for instance. There are people who mean well about the situation. There are people who mean well about disability rights. But just like you said, let me also bring it down. Families mean well about their disabled family members, but then how do they represent them? This is something you brought up. How do they represent them without reinforcing a stereotype? You already know that these people are already stereotyped in the society, and like how do you navigate that, or what would you say to someone who is in that situation? Yeah.
The best option, I would say, is to put out their best out there for them, for people to see. So there are NGOs. I would cite an example. There are an NGO that I follow on Instagram, and this NGO built a school, and the school is for the blind. Normally, when people talk about blind people, I would say before now, when I see a blind person, I would say somebody who is not capable of doing anything. Because how would you do things when you cannot even see? Right? So what did these people do? They built a school for the blind. I don't know, you must have come across their post online. And what they are doing is they are using dance to tell their stories. They are using dance to rewrite their story. They are using dance to reinforce stigma. Right? Talking about blind people, you might think, oh, they cannot cook, they cannot dance. How are they learning the recent dance steps that are trending? How are they navigating all of this? But they are, because they are living. Right? So I would say rewriting the stories with, one, maybe storytelling like you've mentioned, and two, putting out their best capabilities out there. Rather than lingering too much on the weakness, why not put out their strengths more? Right? I was discussing with somebody the other day. I'm like, people who has issues with hard hearing, people who cannot really hear or having issues with any kind of disability, there are technical tools that they can actually use to sell out their idea. They should be able to design graphics because they can see. They have their sense of smell. They have their sense of touch. Right? They should be able to market. They should be able to design digital products. They should be able to come up with great business plans. The fact that you're limited in this does not mean you are not able in the other aspects. Right? Disability does not mean disability. There are also so many abilities even in that disability. So the best way is to rewrite the story, the story, telling them with positive mindsets and being positive about the whole situation. So rather than dwelling too much of what people are saying, the stereotype out there, the stigma out there, what are people not saying?
Yeah. Deep. Okay.
So I think, we can bring it from that approach.
Yeah. So I'm going to take my time to take this all in because, like I said, the aim is coming to life and all of that. But before we quickly conclude, just one more question very quickly. Why is it important for the communications industry, or the communication industry, or communication as a field, communication as a skill, communication as an art? Why is it important to highlight? You've already said it. I mean, I love the progression of this conversation. Why is it important to accommodate a varying range of views? Like, why is it important for different people to highlight their views? Why is it important for us to talk about the things that people are not talking about, or things that are not in the mainstream media, or things that are localized? You know what I mean? Like, why is it important to bring a diverse range of voices together in advancing communication goals?
Communication is about fairness, I would say. It's about equity. It's about inclusion. It's about equality, right? So including everybody's voices in everything means only one thing, and that means that everybody is represented. Whether you are communicating in health, right? There are a lot of people who use different strategies to communicate about health issues. Sometimes you come up on social media and you're learning different things about health in different angles you never thought of. Although there are still misinformation, but still in that, the fact that they are doing that shows that they are trying to reach as much people as they can, representing different voices, making sure that everybody is included. Right? Today, we have what we call different assistive technologies, helping these people who are having issues in different angles, both invisible and visible disabilities. These assistive technologies came out because They want to make everybody included.
Yeah.
Right? Which is why I would still say governments in different countries need to do better. Because right now in the US, there are a lot of technologies that are in place that maybe whatever challenges you have, in fact, you might not even consider it a challenge because you have tools in place that will help you maneuver whatever stress you're going through or whatever issue you're facing. Right? In Nigeria, for instance, we are still trying to find a balance. I was talking to somebody the other day. I'm like, the road networks are not even favorable for these people who are on wheelchair. It's only private organizations like banks and some certain places that have this road network, like this road pathway for people on wheelchairs. Right? The road networks, they are so clogged with a lot of things. Where they are meant to pass, a lot of people are actually sitting there selling things. The buses are not built for them. The buses are built. Yeah, the buses, the cars are not built for them. Right? A lot of facilities are not even built for these people. So, where is inclusion?
Yeah.
So, the importance of diversity is inclusion. They have to be included in everything. In churches, in mosques, in banks, in schools, everywhere. They have to be included. Both technology, there should be technology in place to assist them. There should be the right policies for them, the right systems for them. Because they are also human beings. They shouldn't be ruled out because of one issue or the other. This is a place of communication. Right? People in marketing field can say something different. But I am talking from a perspective of a researcher and somebody who is studying family communication. Right? These are the bonds that families do face. And if they start talking about the challenges that they face, now imagine, let's say, you are home with your loved one and you have to care for them. That has rendered you useless. You cannot walk. You can't even do a whole lot. You have to assist them in different ways because technologies are not there. The right system has not been put in place. Right? If they have the right system, the right policy implementation, they will be able to navigate through all of these things. So when we talk about diversity, we should talk about fairness, inclusion, and equity in all aspects. It goes beyond doing what is right, but extending it to this kind of group or this kind of systems that people are facing. So this is just my own contribution to this. And I like the fact that you're studying cultural communication. So maybe you help us communicate this aspect.
Yeah.
Like bringing, this is what this other culture is doing, and this is how we can implement it in this culture.
Yeah. So. Okay, so I have less than a minute to end the conversation, but can you just quickly, in 10 seconds, just tell me like one thing you hope people, emerging professionals, can get out of this conversation? Just one thing.
Be intentional with what you want to do and have the right definition. When you have the right definition of what you want to do, then you are on the right path. Choose rightly. That's what I would say. Choose the right path. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Peace, for joining this conversation. I sincerely appreciate you. I'm looking forward to doing this again and again. And
yeah.
Thank you. See you later. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.